All right, so now that you know your six-string bar chords, which are based off the E major and E minor chords, now it's time for us to learn the fifth string bar chords. And these are the other ones that are really, really important to your journey. These are going to be based off the A major chord and the A minor chord. So if you think about this, this is almost backwards because A major doesn't use anybody in the first fret, and then A minor does use somebody in the first fret. So it's a little bit different thinking in terms of the fifth string bar chords. Now, I call them sixth string and fifth string bar chords because we're thinking about how many strings we're actually strumming, right? And where our bass note is. When we made the E chord, we strum all six and the bass note is on the sixth string. There's E and F and so on. When we're playing fifth string bar chords, all the bass notes are based off the fifth string. There's A and so on. So let's get into this and see what this looks like. So again, if I was to take that A chord and play it like this, A major, and refinger it, I got to remember I have a space there. So when I move up a fret and I decide to bar, I'm not barring here. I got to bar over here. And I don't want to play the sixth string. Now, if at all possible, I don't really want to bar the sixth string. I just want to avoid it entirely. And I'm going to play from here on down. So that would be A would then become A sharp or B flat like we learned before. So this is A sharp or B flat. Now if I move up again, I wind up with B. And I move up again, I wind up with C. And if I move up again, I wind up with C sharp. Now just watch me for a second before you try this, okay? And so on. Now, as I keep moving up, I'm going to run into a problem here. Number one, I don't have enough room for my fingers. Now, I have small fingers. You might have bigger fingers, and this is hard to begin with anyway. So the way we're learning this isn't going to work because at some point I can't fit all my fingers in that fret, okay? So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is instead of taking these three fingers, moving them up and then barring, which is fine, this is right, okay? But from a comfort perspective, what I'm going to do is instead of using three different fingers right here, I'm going to use my ring finger across all those three strings, second, third, and fourth strings, together with this one finger. Now, in doing so, oftentimes what will happen is when you try and do this, it's going to feel really awkward, and unfortunately, you're going to wind up hitting this first string. And if you hit that first string, it may wind up stopping working. Now, the truth is, the first string isn't what's important to this bar chord anyway, okay? The top is what's important. So if you try and do this bar chord and the first string stops working for you, don't stress out about it. Again, bar chords are these kinds of things that they take time to mold and to get comfortable with. When I first started learning how to play bar chords, this shape I'm showing you right now, this fifth string bar chord, was kind of a nightmare. It was really hard to do. Now, I can get all the sounds that I want, okay? But it took a long time to do that. And I know lots of players, wonderful, great players, players that you probably listen to, that when they play their fifth string bar chords, their first string isn't working, okay? But they don't stress about it. They didn't stop playing because of it. It's just their finger doesn't allow that to happen. So please understand that some of these things you're going to have to approach from the best way possible, as best you can. So we're taking A and we're moving it up and it's becoming A sharp or B flat. And then we're right back on schedule. So we got B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. So exactly the same thing is happening, except now this is an A string. So the whole process is starting on A. And our movable chord is an A major chord, right? Now you might ask yourself, well, why am I learning these if they already exist on the sixth string, right? I mean, this is B flat or A sharp, whatever you want to call it. Well, it is right here too. Or this is C. Well, heck, I got C here, and I already got C up here. Why am I learning another place to play it? And that's exactly why you are learning it, is for another place to play it. So you're not stuck doing this all the time on the sixth string for every song that you want to play. You start learning, just like open chords, you start learning to combine everybody in what we call a position. It's a spot on the guitar that it's easier to move, and everything stays kind of in the same area, right? If you think about it, what you're doing is moving from E to A. Instead of going from E all the way up to A here, you're just going from E to A right below you. And that's what's happening with all of these chords as we move up the guitar. So that's the reason you're learning fifth string or A-shape bar chords.